All right. So I don't even know what week it is anymore, but welcome back. Uh, I hope you all enjoyed the incredible sports-filled weekend that was the NFL draft. It was totally encapsulating, great stuff. Totally don't miss sports or anything fun on right now. Really getting me through this stuff. Other than that, we are inching closer and closer to the end of the school year. E-learning is definitely not fun, but we're so close. We're so close. Um, I will admit that this video is probably gonna be pretty short because I'm gonna split this last unit into two. All right, so we're gonna have one unit on what led to World War One, so that those main, really main causes. I'll explain it, and then next week we'll go into kind of the end of World War One, and then the Russian Revolution. Okay, so this will be a nice, simple, pretty quick, under 10 minutes video on just the main M.A.I.N causes of World War One. So last week we talked about imperialism, and that is one of the main causes. That's the I. Uh, but the other three of the main is militarism, alliances, and then you got imperialism, and then you have nationalism. Okay, so all four of these kind of go hand in hand, and they are all main causes of World War One. All right, so like I said last year or last week, imperialism takes place in the end of the 1800s because the Industrial Revolution was in full bloom. It was pushing, it was growing, it was expanding. People needed resources, people needed stuff, so they take over those other countries, the smaller places, the Africas, the Asian countries, uh, just places like that. They kind of got overruled, and then they were extorted everything. They extorted all the resources out. So um, this is World War One, and imperialism is one of the reasons it is World War One. Okay, imperialism and colonization. That's one of the reasons we see it as World War One because the whole world got involved in this one. Okay, now the 7 Years' War from 1753 to 1761, that kind of is a world war. All right, it's fought on different theaters, but it doesn't really equate to the same death toll that World War One or World War Two will. So it doesn't really get that same World War title. But let's go into World War One. All right, so like I said, imperialism. That's the I, but let's start with militarism. All right, so once we get all these nations militarizing and getting more and more resources, um, that M for the main sticks out a lot. Okay, it's kind of hard to kind of single these four things out because they do go so hand in hand with each other. But I'm going to try to. Okay, so I'm just going to explain the M, the A, the I, and the N. Okay, so militarism is just this increased um, arms race in a sense. All right, so all these nations want to make sure that they are the greatest, the strongest, the most ready for war. All right, so with that comes being the most industrialized, because if you're the most industrialized, you can make the most weapons. Okay, um, so you see Britain, you see France, you see Germany, you see uh, America, even though they come in a little later. You see all these nations militarizing because they're preparing themselves for what they know, the inevitable, which is going to be the Great War. Okay, that's the sad part is all these four, like you can see these growing ever since kind of Napoleon, even before that. With this, the end part, nationalism, you see these nations just preparing step by step, getting ready and ready for war because they know what's going to happen. Just a matter of when, and we'll talk about that at the end of this video. All right, so that's the M, militarism. They're getting prepared for war. They're getting prepared for military. All right. A, alliances. Okay, so the alliances are. I'm not going to go into too much depth you could. This is one of the big questions if we were still in like actual school and classes, because we are still in school, but we're not in actual physical classes anymore. But so the alliances. You know what an alliance is? It means you have friends, you have people who you surround yourself with. Okay, so the alliance system is you'll see the triple entente and the triple alliance. Okay, these are the two big ones that come out. The triple entente is a French word, so that's what is going to be the British, the French, and the Russians. Yes. And then the Triple Alliance is going to be the other ones, the Germans, the Italians, the Ottoman Empire. Okay, even though they come late, they join at wartime. And the Ottoman Empire is just the Islamic Empire. Okay, starting in, we talked about it with world history A. It's the empire that took over the Byzantine Empire. So the one that fell in 1453, like that's the Ottoman Empire, and they're still growing and growing. They took over all Turkey and a lot of. Never mind. All right, so that's the alliance system. You see one side against another side, and they say, if one of our people get attacked, then we will go against the war of that. So you'll see with that spark, you'll see how this led to war. Okay, so you have the militarism, now you have the alliances. Those are all knocked out. Imperialism. Okay, we're gonna talk about that. Imperialism last week, super important. It changes the landscape of this whole war. All right, in this whole time period. Okay, why is imperialism so important? All of these people are claiming more land. The more land, the greater you are. The more land, the more resources you get. So imperialism is very, very, very important, and it brings the whole world into this whole European conflict, because that's really all it is. It's just a European conflict, but because of these other people getting involved, like Japan and then America, it becomes this world war. Okay, so that's your I. We went into it last week. I'm not going to go into too much more deep or depth on the imperialistic part. And the last one, nationalism. So this one is created with Napoleon. Okay, so Napoleon creates this real nationalistic mindset. So once Napoleon becomes the emperor in 1801, people really start to feel like that pride for where they come from. Okay, and you want to be the best. Okay, so this goes hand in hand with the imperialism. Like when Germany steps in, German people get super excited and pumped when they take more and more land in Africa. All right. Britain is very, very pumped when they take over Egypt and other places like that. It's like this nationalistic mindset wants the country first, right? So we see it today, like patriotism, like that's just this nationalistic mindset. Okay, so propaganda can get created and can lead to more and more warfare. So all four of these things kind of go hand in hand and they come together. And so these are going on from pretty much 1800, and then there's this moment in 1914. Okay, and I think it's June of 1914, and it's a hilarious story actually. But I'm not going to go into too much depth. We can talk about it if you want to meet in like a Zoom conference. So there's this organization in Austria-Hungary, specifically in Hungary, called the Black Hand. Cool name. They're nationalists, and they want Hungarian. They want a Hungarian nation. They want a Hungarian separate from this massive dying superpower that was the Austria-Hungarians. And so the Black Hand has this whole thing that's set out, and the reason all of this happens is because of the Balkans. Okay, so the Balkans is the peninsula. It's like Greece and that area down there, the Balkan Peninsula. It was a mess. Okay, it's still a mess today. You had some genocide going on within the last 30 years. It's a sad thing. So the Balkans have been touchy situation for a while, but the Balkans was the reason kind of World War One starts. Okay, so I can't blame it on the Balkans and this thing that happens, but it's the spark that lit the oily rag that was the main causes. Okay, so that's the analogy that I use because it's really helpful. It's what I was taught from actually my dad who taught me in high school. So Europe is this oily rag. The world is this oily rag. and it's oily and just ready to ignite because of those main causes and because of the Balkans. Okay, so you get that spark because in June of 1914 you have a an assassination on Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who is the Archduke of Austria-Hungary. He comes down to the Bosnia. He comes down to Sarajevo, trying to like rally the fight of the Austria. I don't know why he goes down there. It's not smart. It's not a good idea. He goes down there, and this guy named Gavrilo Princip, along with his other Black Hand nationalists who want Hungarian nationalism, they come down, and there's a failed attempt like 4 times. I can go into the whole story if you want, but I'm not going to right now. And finally, Gavrilo Princip kills Archduke Franz Ferdinand, so that leads to Germany declaring war on Hungary or on the Balkans, and then that leads to Britain declaring war on Germany, which then leads to I think it's the Ottomans declaring war on Britain, and then it's France. So it's just like dominoes at this point, and it's just World War One starts, and then once World War One starts, you have like the airplane, the tank, the mustard gas. You have all these brand new inventions because of industrialization that like prolong this war and give the world this thing they've never seen before in their life. Okay, and it's sad because I'll talk about it next week, but it's sad because you think it's gonna end, but it doesn't, because they do trench warfare, and then once you have trench warfare, it just doesn't end. So it goes for 5 whole years. Millions of people die, mostly from like disease, and yeah, it's an ugly war. It's called the Great War. It's called the war to end all wars, and it's sad because within 20 years after that, we'll have World War II, which is like twice the size of World War One, and it's just a bad time. But that's all I'm going to focus on today. Okay, those main causes. I went through it very fast, but you got the gist of it. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I will give you the PowerPoint. I went over my 10-minute mark. I'm so sorry, but I could have gone on for 40 more minutes. I love World War One. I love the stuff that leads up to World War One, like imperialism. It's a topic that is very heated in my head because it's really messed up what we do, and it kind of really messes up everything in the world at that point. And we still see impacts for it today. But yeah, I'm going to cut it off here because we'll do another video next week on actual World War One, the advances and whatnot. I'll have some of those in the PowerPoints. And then one of my favorite topics, the Russian Revolution. All right, so please continue to get work in. Please continue to be your best self. Please, if everything does open up, be smart. Okay, be smart. You didn't just stay inside for a month for no reason. Okay, so be smart. Stay healthy. If you need anything, please reach out to me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good one.